Welcome back, everybody, to the Take Two podcast. We are your Frame brothers. I am Jameson Frame, accompanied by Reed Frame. We will be talking all things NFL as always. Um, Back for another episode, Reed. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How's the season going for you? You guys got another dub last week Friday. Keep the hopes alive, right?
Yeah. 2 games away from the state championship here. High school football. We're going into the what would it be? The semifinals. Yeah.
Yeah, semifinals.
So
Good stuff.
week by week, just keep earning another week.
Good stuff. Love it. Did you watch another week of football, I hope?
Yeah, I
Good.
did. If I'm being honest, I watched a little less with the Seahawks being on bye, but I still watch football.
You didn't watch the full 7 hours of commercial-free football?
No.
Oh no,
I watched most of it though.
I got you. Couple good games, couple bad games. Last night's game was kind of a stinker. Not great.
Didn't watch last night's game.
Yeah, I only caught a little bit of it. Had to go bed early. So, um, as this week was one week past the midway point in the season, I wanted to dive into kind of the mid-season awards. Um, Also talk about the futures of like who we think are going to end up being, the MVP, the Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie, those type of things. We'll touch base on who we think are going to win them and also who's like the favorites now as it sits, as well as who should win them at this point in the season so far. So going off of that, we'll branch out, kind of touch base on players that are having relatively good seasons, ones that are having relatively bad seasons, stuff like that. So I guess first things first, Reed, I'm gonna do kind of a little trivia. So I'll try and get you to guess the players with the best odds to win each of the categories, and then we'll dive into who we think should win them, that kind of thing. So we'll start with MVP. Obviously, this is probably the most recognizable award that the NFL gives out every year. Everybody kind of looks for that one opposed to the other one. So, who do you think has the best odds to win MVP? This is as of DraftKings as a reference point. So, who you got?
I think it's a real safe bet to go Patrick Mahomes.
It is not. He is the third highest odds
I'm going for the
currently.
highest. All right, Lamar
Yeah, you want to
Jackson.
be is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has the best odds to win MVP, followed by Josh Allen, then Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts is sitting at fourth.
Hmm.
Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, and then you're starting to get into the far-fetched ones. You got Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold. So, um, Sam Darnold not winning it. I don't even know why he's what is this top 10? I guess top 10's pretty far-fetched as it is, but he has cooled off extremely as of recently. I am one of the people that was high on the Sam Darnold train to start the season. Um, Kind of sad to see him kind of dwindling and falling off the bandwagon, but it was kind of expected at some point.
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson, do you agree with Lamar Jackson as the clear cut number one, or do you have a
he's having a great year. There's, I think Lamar Jackson's easily the clear cut number one. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. My question is, where's Jared Goff on that list?
eighth?
I think most of that is because of this past week. 5 picks in one game. He has no chance to win MVP anymore. I would have put Jared Goff pretty close. I would have probably put him fourth or fifth
I
until
probably
he
would for.
did, yeah, until he did this game, throwing 5 interceptions in one game. And now I'm like, you just took yourself out of the MVP race.
I get it. I don't think Lamar Jackson is the MVP at this point. I think Josh Allen is, in my opinion. Obviously, he's number two. The way I look at MVP is if you were to take any other quarterback and put him in that or any other position. So if it's a running back, if you were to take any running back, put him in that same position, how would they fare compared to how that current quarterback is? Lamar Jackson has a system set up very well to his strengths, which is obviously what you want to do in the NFL. The thing is, any mobile quarterback, I feel like, would succeed in this offense. So I think if you put even Kyler Murray in this offense, if you put Jaden Daniels in this offense, if you put Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, any quarterback that has mobility, I think they would succeed in the Ravens offense because you got Derrick Henry, you got Mark Andrews, you got Isaiah Likely, you got Zay Flowers, you got, I mean, the wide receiver room kind of dives off after that. The point being, Josh Allen's on the flip side of that, the Bills don't have nearly as many weapons, and they're relying on Josh Allen to kind of play kind of like hero ball in a sense, and he's kind of just putting the team on his back and carrying them to victories. I do not believe if you were to put maybe there's an exception of a couple quarterbacks, but basically like 31 other quarterbacks, the starting quarterbacks on the Bills, that they have the same success that Josh Allen is having. I do not believe they would. Therefore, he is my MVP at this point.
I agree with you. But the thing is, we're guessing the odds here, and I completely agree with you. The most valuable player, that's what MVP stands for, is a person that that team needs. That's what the most valuable player means. But
Right.
the MVP award is not the most valuable player award. It is the most exciting player award. Okay?
Or
My prime
typically the
example,
quarterback on the best team.
yeah, my prime example of this is I believe it was 2019 Lamar Jackson, or maybe it was 2020 Lamar Jackson.
I don't know what years he won them all.
It was his first MVP.
The first 21.
I did not agree with that MVP at all. The only reason he won MVP is because he was a running back playing quarterback and he was fun to watch. It was it was the next Mike Vick. He was fun to watch. He was not the most valuable player in the league. So I do not like the MVP award. It's a quarterback award, and it's not the most valuable player anymore. It's the most exciting player now. I do believe Lamar Jackson's going to win it this year because it's a high-powered offense. Again, I agree with you. You could throw a lot of people in there and it could work. Josh Allen should be the most valuable player. And yeah, I agree with you. I believe Lamar Jackson is the MVP by league terms, but he isn't the MVP by my terms, if that makes sense.
I get what you're saying. Another example of that is Cam Newton when he won MVP
Yep.
that one season. He had a crap ton of rushing touchdowns. Wasn't doing anything out of the norm. It was just like you said, very exciting to watch. It was something that hasn't been done very often. So it's one of those anomalies that you kind of have to give him the award because he's so exciting. And yeah, I totally agree where you're coming from and why they give the award. I guess I was just trying to give my perspective of, and we're in agreement, what the MVP should be. Um, the thing that baffled my mind is how is Patrick Mahomes third on this list?
It's Glaze. I don't
He
know what else to tell you.
his stats this year and just like his play, not great. He is a very average quarterback this year, and the Chiefs as a whole have found a way to win every game, and that's great for them. That's what you have to do as a team. You find any way you possibly can to win the game. That's great and all. But then Patrick Mahomes is still getting all this praise as how great of a quarterback he is this season, which he is a good quarterback, but his play this season is not reflecting MVP caliberness.
Yeah, I agree. Um, Prime example of the Chiefs doing what they need to do just to win is this week. Um, yeah, if you follow football at all, I feel like you've seen it. It's the blocked kick. You look in the comment sections, you're just seeing bailed, given Chiefs glaze, undefeated, how stuff like that. Yeah, the Broncos are a bad team. Um, it's the NFL. Every game should be close, and I like that's a theme we've seen this year is that no team is really untouchable. Yeah, some teams are ahead of the others, but again, the Broncos almost just beat the Chiefs, and a blocked field goal saved the game. Went on a rant there, but uh, Chiefs win games, and to me, the most valuable player is the person that can win the game. So I do kind of see why Patrick Mahomes is up there. Again, he also is the best player in the league in quotations. So I feel like if he's, again, quote, best player in the league, he should always have to be in the MVP race.
Right. No, I definitely hear you there. It's another one of the examples of the best the quarterback that's on the best team in the league is always in contention for the MVP, similar to Brock Purdy last year. 49ers had a really good team. Therefore, Brock Purdy was a quarterback on the really good team. Therefore, he's up for an MVP conversation. It's every season happens, will forever. Like you said, as a quarterback, award essentially at this point. It'd be extremely difficult for somebody other than a quarterback. Even if like a defensive end or pass rusher breaks the record for most sacks in a season, even if a defensive back breaks the record for most interceptions in a season, like you like what would a defender have to do to even sniff this award?
To me, realistically, like if I was making a judgment and I would say like what would have to happen for the league to give a defender an award? I'm thinking a defensive back has to get 17 interceptions.
Just
He
something
has
outrageous.
he has to get an interception a game, and I think that's when they'll finally hand over the MVP to a defender.
I think you'd have to. I don't
I
think
think that's the line right there.
the thing is though, after like what 10 picks, quarterbacks would just stop throwing that guy's way. Like they would just
Yeah.
scheme that we're going to eliminate him from the game completely. We'll throw it to 10 other guys on
Here's
the field.
here's the
And
thing though. All right. Here's the thing. Trayvon Diggs, a lot of interceptions, a lot of yards. But people don't see those yards. They're like, hey, this guy's giving us the ball a lot. He's also letting up touchdowns. I'm not a big fan of Deron Bland or Trayvon Diggs. I don't like those safeties playing corners. If you're a ball hawk, go play free safety. You're not a corner. That's my opinion. Defensive coordinator, read frame over here, but don't like those guys. But what I'm saying is Trayvon Diggs, when he had all those interceptions, I'm pretty sure he won Defensive Player of the Year, correct?
when who did?
Trayvon Diggs, when he had all those interceptions like 3 years ago.
He might have won defensive player. He was might have been a rookie though.
Okay. All right.
Uh,
I know for sure Deron Bland won Defensive Player of the Year.
oh, Bland won it
Bland
last.
did.
No,
Bland.
Garrett won it last year.
Who?
Miles Garrett, because there was this big controversy. Miles Garrett
I'm
won it.
glad. I'm glad Miles
So
Garrett won it. First of all.
even though TJ Watt had more sacks than Miles Garrett last year, there was this big controversy of why Miles Garrett won it.
All right. Fair enough. Point kind of got disproven, but not. Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs are looked upon as good corners. They're not good corners, right? So here's what I'm saying is if a wide receiver, a DB got 17 interception, you said after 10 they're just not throwing their way. If it's a guy like Trayvon Diggs that's letting up 3 touchdowns a game, they're gonna keep throwing to him. And if he just gets a pick a game,
It's something you got to
I,
live with. Is you're going to get
something you gotta
touchdowns
live
on him,
with.
you're going to give up a pick, and you'd be like, "That's fine."
Now you could make the argument like, hey, he's letting up all those touchdowns. Is he really gonna be an MVP? I think just with a crazy stat line of 17 interceptions in a season, I think you have to give over the MVP. Again, I would probably hate the defense, and I'd probably be like, that is not an MVP, even though I'm saying that's an MVP right now. I'm just saying this is what the league is. The league is a business. A guy that
Mhm.
gets 17 interceptions in a season, no matter what else they did, will most likely get MVP.
It'd be interesting to see. I don't obviously it's very far fetched. I don't think we'll ever see it. It's an interesting hypothetical situation on how it would play out. Moving moving off of MVP, we'll go to Offensive Player of the Year. So I guess other than the people that we were talking about, I guess basically eliminating Lamar Jackson because if he wins MVP, he's not also going to be Offensive Player of the Year. Typically, they don't give it to both.
Mhm.
I guess who we'll start with who do you think has the best odds, and then we'll go into who you think should win it.
First name comes to mind after this last week is Jamar Chase.
He's third.
He's third. Derrick
He's
Henry.
Derrick Henry is first. You're two for two on the second guesses.
I like the little underdogs, I guess. I don't know.
Feeling it out, huh?
I've got third on my first guess twice too.
Correct.
I'm I'm consistent.
Okay, so we got Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase,
Mm.
Justin Jefferson, Lamar Jackson actually has the fifth odds, and then Josh Allen, Amon Ra, Kareem Williams, Jameer Gibbs, and Jaden Daniels. I do you have a clear-cut favorite in your opinion on who should win it, or
My
who do you
favorite is Jamar. My favorite is Jamar Chase just because he's on my fantasy team, so I have a bias. Saquon is really fun to watch. I mean, he did a backwards hurdle, man. Like
that was crazy.
that was a nice play. Did you see the interview that he did after, like explaining the
No, I
play?
didn't.
Yeah, so he did the spin off a guy and he wanted to do another spin, but he didn't have enough momentum to go spin, so he said, "All right, I'll just jump." And he did it. And it was pretty cool. I'm trying to do that on Friday night.
That's wild.
I don't
Just
know.
look,
That's
like,
athletic. That is
it
pure
just looked, it was
athletic.
so smooth too. Like it like
It-
didn't even look like he was thinking about it, like tried to plan it. It was just all like in motion. He just like, oh, this is what I got to do to dodge this guy, and it worked perfectly. It was amazing.
that play right there is the only reason I would ever think the NFL is scripted.
You would think it's scripted.
That play right there is the only reason why I would think the NFL is scripted.
How
Something
would you?
like that.
How would you? You can't practice that. The timing
You
of
can't
everybody
practice that.
coming
You have
to
this
hit
freak
that.
athlete. You have this freak athlete. And you're just like, hey, the defender, just go low. Let Saquon be an athlete. It's the only time I would think the game, like this game, is scripted.
There's no way. Like
You're
that.
telling me you can
Okay,
just go
that's
out there and jump backwards? I'm not saying the NFL is scripted,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah.
I'm
I
not
think he
saying the NFL
can.
is scripted. The NFL is not scripted. But I'm saying if you were to make an argument it is,
If
I
there was
believe
an
that he.
example of a way, that's your example.
Yeah, yeah.
I we could go down a whole nother rabbit hole. We're not going to because I don't think it is scripted. So there's really no point to it. It'd be just kind of a fun chat. Um, Saquon is just an insane athlete. I just think that's like normal for him. Like that those kind of moves in his brain just clicks and I don't know. It was mind boggling when I saw it.
It is that play of the year.
I would say. I don't know how you
Garrett
how you
Wilson's
top
catch.
that. That's
Garrett
not even
Wilson's
that.
he went up, he was like doing the jump man, the air jump man in
Nah, that
football.
wasn't even a catch. Shin's
Actually,
not a the
I do
shin's not a
think,
separate part
yeah.
of the body.
Especially with the was it who was it? George Pickens, 2 feet on the same. Who was it
Oh,
where you can't?
George Pickens
Yeah, George Pickens.
hit 2 feet, it's his same foot hit twice. Like that should be a
That should
catch.
count in my opinion. That should count.
Right.
And Garrett Wilson, it was the same foot, same shin. So what's going
So
on
you
there?
so hypothetical situation. We're kind of going down a rabbit hole. We'll get back on track in a second. I got one more thing to add to this before we get back. But so you're telling me if you catch a pass, land on one foot, and hop all the way to the end zone, and then step out of bounds of the end zone before your other foot comes in bounds, that wouldn't be a touchdown
Apparently
because
not. Like,
the same foot can't hit more than once and count for your 2 feet in bounds. No, don't like it. And then the shin, which is attached to like the knee, like you know how many touchdowns you could
but
probably go
like,
back and
and then
reverse.
here's another thing. Like, how far down is the shin that it's counted? Like, your shin goes really far down your leg. Like, it goes all the way to your ankle. So if like the bit right above my ankle touches, is that a touchdown?
I get the calf, but I
Yeah.
think the shin is connected to the knee.
All right. Physically, how is your calf hitting the
I
ground?
don't know. I'm just saying, like, if for however, I mean, it'd be physically impossible. But listen.
Your
I'm just
knee
saying,
would break,
calf,
dude.
the calf makes. Well, you never know. Hyperextend your leg to make the touchdown. It counts.
This guy's dedicated.
I'm just saying, it makes more sense that the calf would be different than the shin. Shin's part of the knee,
That's pain. I'm just thinking of the
like
pain. Just,
in
dude,
transition.
you're like this, and you're oh,
Like
yikes.
the only reason like a forearm would count is because your hand can, bend.
Well, your hand also counts as a different part, right? It's your hand and your forearm.
Not your hand. Your hand doesn't count.
Your hand doesn't count.
Oh, you on touchdown. Sorry, I'm talking like fumbles. So like if
Oh,
somebody was
oh,
down. So like if your forearm counts as like your elbow, and those are two separate parts, but that's because like your arm, you can bend your wrist, so then your forearm can touch before, but your foot doesn't work that way. It's really hard to explain when I
yeah.
don't
You're
have
more
words.
coordinated in your arms than you are in your feet.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's not the
I
same.
get that. Yeah, I'm understanding.
Anywho, yeah, we got way off track there. Sorry. Let's reel it back in. Offensive player of the year. Um, you were talking. We were expanding on Barkley and how just athletic he was. Is he your pick for offensive player of the year then, or do you have somebody else that you think deserves it?
I I would like to say Daniels, but I don't think he's going to.
No, I think he'll win Offensive Rookie of the Year,
He's
which
I think he's a lock for rookie of the year.
right.
Um, and then I'm not a big fan of Derrick Henry. Like I don't really like him. I think
You don't have to like him to
you're
respect someone
right.
to give him an
You're
award, though.
right. But again, NFL is a business, and I don't think they're going to give MVP and Offensive Player of the Year to the same team. I don't think they're going to give two Ravens those two awards.
I think
So I,
you
I'm
underestimate the NFL.
maybe I do, maybe I do, but I think Barkley is my pick right now.
Yeah, I was leaning Barkley. Why'd you have to take him? My thing with
But
Henry is he's so touchdown dependent. You take away all of his touchdowns, which hypothetically you take away anybody's certain stat, and then all of a sudden you're diminishing the whole point. I get that. But like Saquon, I feel like is having a better year than Henry. Again, Henry is just a product of a really good offense, which we knew. I mean, there was the
but
whole
all right, he's
there
a
was the whole
product of a
development.
really good offense. He's a product of a really good offense, but he makes the offense good, right?
Just
He's
because
a
of dual
part of
threat.
that really good offense.
Yeah, he's just part of the dual threat, the whole read option that shuts
But
everything
all
down.
right, but if it's not Derrick Henry, then the dual threat's not as dangerous, right? What I'm saying is,
Yeah, I guess I'm
yes,
just a hater. I don't know what to
he
tell you.
he's making the power, he's making the offense high power. He's part of that. He in the machine, he's one of the gears turning.
Yeah,
Here,
but it's just more that's
this
more
is the
schematic than
machine.
that.
This gear's Lamar Jackson. This gear's Derrick Henry. They're both turning and the machine's going.
Right. That's like just like a schematic part of it though. It's not like him as a player is not doing good. It's just it's schematically it's hard to defend. So yeah, they're gonna be good. Versus like
But
Saquon
all
is
right,
playing well. Like he's
you're
having
the
bigger,
you're the quarterback,
more
I'm the running back. We're not doing the same thing.
okay, so I'm talking like explosive plays, right? Like if you look at how many explosive plays Saquon Barkley's had, if you look how many explosive plays Derrick Henry has had, that's what I'm talking about. Like the individual player. Like if Derrick Henry runs the ball 40 times a game and is averaging 3 yards a carry, yeah, he's gonna have a lot of stats. He's gonna have a lot of touchdowns. But if somebody has less carries, less touches, and has more yards and more touch or not more touchdowns, but you get my point. Like he's more
You're saying a
productive.
better average? You're saying
Yeah,
a
a better
better
average,
average?
a better productivity rate, more. You know what I mean? Like that's what I consider to be. So like your Jamar Chases, your Saquon Barkleys of the world, like I think you deserve it more than the guy that's just in a I'm going to get you 3 yards every play, and then when we get down the goal line, they're always going to hand it to me, and I'm always going to score. Like it's
See,
not. I'm not hating on this. It's a good system. They're winning games because of it. It's harder to defend. I get all that, but I think as a player, it takes away from Derrick Henry because like him as a player doesn't have to do as much just because it's all kind of set up for him. He's just got to do his thing. Like Derrick Henry's not breaking as many tackles and up the middle and whatnot. I feel like he just runs into a pile and falls down. And then if he hits a hole, like, yeah, he's fast enough to hit the hole, but I just don't think he's doing all that much.
didn't he have a 99-yard touchdown?
Maybe.
I think he did.
How many tackles did he break? Probably like
I didn't
two.
watch it live, if I'm being
I don't know.
honest.
I guess I'm just the Derrick Henry hit.
I don't
That's
like Derrick
kind of
Henry,
what I'm
but
gathering from this.
my argument is 3 yards. What's the saying we always heard? We're both running backs. What's the saying you always heard?
3 yards in a cloud of dust. Is that what you're talking about?
3 yards a play wins the game.
Yeah, that's all you need.
What is he averaging? You
I don't
just
know,
said
but
he's averaging 3 yards a play.
I don't know what he's averaging.
Just saying, in the NFL, if my running back's averaging more than 3 yards a play, I love that running back.
Okay, he is. Holy Jesus. Yeah, I guess
What
I'm
is he
just
averaging? What
averaging
is he
six.
averaging?
He's averaging 6 yards a carry.
Yeah, all right. I think Derrick Henry might win Offensive
Yeah,
Rookie of
Derrick
the
Henry's
Year.
probably going to win this. He's already got 12 touchdowns too.
Yeah, all
I
right.
just went on that whole rant for nothing. I did not have my facts as to what he was actually doing and how he was doing it.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well. He's doing pretty well.
I hate that for myself.
All right, Defensive Player of the Year.
Um, hold on, I'm looking up Saquon Barkley's. He's at 5.8. Gosh,
Yeah.
whatever.
Argument completely debunked.
Fine. Derrick Henry deserves it. We're going defensive player of the year.
Oh,
Hot take. I like Dexter Lawrence.
I'm a big Dexter Lawrence fan. I love Dexter Lawrence. Question is, hang on.
I got the odds.
Oh, damn. Okay. Where is he?
He's second. Well, he's tied for second.
Oh, he's second.
Hmm.
Where is Xavier McKinney?
Eighth. Tied for eighth.
Interesting. See, I'm a big Xavier McKinney fan. I wanted the Seahawks to sign him. I love Xavier McKinney. And of course, he went to the freaking Packers.
Who did you, I guess, who is yours? Who's your defensive player of the year?
I don't. Oh,
I can give you
give
want me to give
me.
you the list of the front runners right now?
Yeah. Don't tell me who's won, though. I want to guess who's won.
All right, I'll give you them in no particular order.
All right.
Dexter Lawrence. You got Will Anderson up there.
Okay.
TJ Watt, Chris Jones, Trey Hendrickson, Nick Bosa, Xavier McKinney, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, and Jalen Carter.
TJ Watt,
Yeah,
safe bet.
yeah. I was, which I don't know if he doesn't deserve it. I just think Dexter Lawrence on a bad team has been extremely disruptive. He's getting after the quarterback like crazy. He's getting tackles in the backfield. He's disrupting run plays. He's disrupting pass plays. A lot of the stuff defensive tackles that isn't flashy and people don't get a lot of stats for or notice very often. I feel like he's been incredible for them. So, not to take anything away from TJ Watt, I think he's an amazing defensive player and he's been disruptive in his own sense. But showing a little love to the defensive tackles of the world.
Yeah, I am probably one of the biggest Dexter Lawrence's fans you're gonna see. Not only because he went to Clemson, and again, really big Clemson fan,
I never knew that.
but you didn't know he went to Clemson?
I had no
Oh,
idea.
I love my Clemson players, man. Love them. Some of them work out, some of them don't. Cleveland Farrell. Um, yeah, but I'm a big Dexter Lawrence fan. Kind of sucks that he's on the Giants. I would love for him to come over to the Seahawks. Love Dexter Lawrence, and I think he's the DPOY.
You think he is too? That's who
I
you.
hope he wins it. I hope he wins it.
I think he's got a shot if he keeps up his production. I could definitely see it happen.
That's the question though that everyone always says if he keeps up his production. We saw last year with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill was set to go for over 2,000. What happened? Didn't go over for 2,000.
He got hurt last year, didn't he?
He got hurt for like 2 games.
Right. He still had an incredible season.
He had a really good season.
We'll touch base. We'll go back to offensive rookie of the year, not go back to it, but touch on it. We kind of already said who we thought was going to run away with it. I feel like this one is pretty obvious. I don't think there's a lot of argument to be made elsewhere. Jaden Daniels has led the Commanders to a 7-2. Was it
A good season.
8-2? I don't know. A really good season. I guess the second place would be Bo Nix. I mean, he has been a huge surprise for the Broncos. They're not great, but I don't feel like they're bad. I mean, they almost beat the Chiefs.
Bo Nix, he started off very poorly, and that's what you normally see from a rookie.
Yeah.
First week Seahawks, I'm not gonna glaze. It was a good team at that point. Kind of fell off from there, but he started off slow, and I think he's definitely kept improving, and now Bo Nix looks pretty good. And I've always been a pretty big Bo Nix fan, so I love to see it.
Yeah, other than, I mean, Drake May has come on as of recent. Brian Thomas Jr. on the Jaguars.
Mm.
The thing with him is just like that team looks terrible. Like I don't feel like they should be that bad.
And Brian Thomas Jr., yes, he has looked very good. We also saw it this last week. No Trevor Lawrence, no Brian Thomas Jr. is what I learned from this last week. I think he got one catch for like 6 yards or something like that.
Mac Jones has never been the elite passer
Yeah,
ever. So kind of is what it is there.
but I'm a big Brian Thomas fan. LSU wide receiver, not Clemson this time. Tiger though, so maybe I just really like Tiger teams. I don't know.
It's a little surprising. Number 10 comes in as Tyrone Tracy. Good on him. Sneaking up the board. Brock Bowers, I'm surprised isn't getting more love for the season that he's putting on. Putting on a tight end number one performance.
He's carrying that Raiders offense, if I'm being honest.
They do not look not at all.
Yeah.
We'll jump to defensive rookie of the year, which is a lot more difficult. It's not as clear cut as a lot of the other ones have been. Um, we got Jared Verse, Latu, Kamari Lassiter, Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Kalen Bullock. Yeah, you got some guys in the back and that aren't very good. So I am on record. I mean, everybody can go back and when we were diving into the Rams team, as much as I said that I was excited about this Rams team before the season started, even much as that hurts me to say as a Seahawks fan, Jared Verse is leading the rookies in defensive player of the year, and I said that he would be a bust. I was not a fan of his coming out of college. I didn't like his game. Should have known Sean McVay would figure out a way to turn him into potentially a defensive rookie of the year.
I'm a big Jared Verse fan. I think I was on record and I kind of doubted you there, if I
You
remember
did.
correctly.
We were on opposite side of them.
I like Jared Verse out of college. I believe FSU is where he went. I believe Florida
Correct.
State. Ah, God, I'm good at colleges, huh? Just pulling
Yeah, you're
them.
better. You're better at college ball than I am.
Yeah. FSU. If we want to talk about FSU, we can. What happened there? But um,
They're
I was a
bad.
big fan of Jared Verse out of college, and I really believe he's going to run away with this defensive rookie of the year. I really don't see anyone else contesting him. I think Jared Verse, he looks good, and I don't know, looks like an outlier. Homer and me says, "Hey, Byron Murphy, he's not on the stat sheet. We just talked about this with Dexter Lawrence." But I'm just saying, if you watch his game film, he does disrupt the backfield and he does make an impact. You just don't see it in the stat sheet.
I hear you. I've been a little disappointed in the stat sheet from Brian Murphy. He's still making an impact, but I thought he was going to be getting more tackles for losses and more sacks. So a little disappointed on that front, but
All I say is just watch him. If you key on
oh
him, you
yeah.
see the impact he makes.
But getting back to Jared Verse, him and is it Byron Young, the
Uh,
other
Byron Young and Kobe Turner are the two D
Turner,
tackles.
and then you got Jared Verse as well. So those three guys are going to be, if they keep on the pace that they're at, they're going to be good for a long time. The Rams are going to have another good pass rush. Yay, everybody in the NFC West.
Yeah, it's a rough division.
Can't
As
catch
a
your breath.
Seahawks fan, we're starting to go downhill.
Yeah,
Season's losing hope. It's a big yikes.
it is a big yikes.
Cam
Look,
Ward be our savior. That's what I'm saying.
what'd you say, Cam Ward?
Cam Ward be our savior.
I don't think the Seahawks are going to have a high enough draft pick to
Trade down.
trade up. You mean?
Yeah, it would be trade up in that scenario. All right. Trade up.
Coach of the year. Now this is one I
Dan Quinn.
he is seventh on the list,
What?
which is wild, which
Dan
is
Quinn.
crazy. Yeah, I'm with you, Dan Quinn. The other option that who is um currently leading it is Mike Tomlin.
Mm. Yeah. You are also on record saying they're going to be terrible this year.
Listen, there's things I've said that have been right. There's things that I've said that have been wrong. Well, at the
This
end of
is
the season, we'll kind of collect them all. We'll do a where I was right, where I was wrong, kind of like what Colin Cowherd does. Catch me slipping, and I'll gloat a little bit on some of the things that I was right about.
Well, let's talk about the one thing that Reed was right about. We're gonna throw back to a preview a few weeks ago by now. Jameson knows what's coming here. I think he does.
Oh, I already know.
It's a
We
wide
didn't even talk
receiver.
about him. You didn't even talk about the MVP race.
Oh, God dang it. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Wide receiver out of Miami. Malik Washington scored his first career touchdown last night, baby. Malik Washington, you're my dog. Get traded to the Seahawks, man. We'll use you right. Come
He
on.
looked good. He looked quick.
He is a slot receiver, quick, runs routes, shifty. Get my man the ball. That's all I'm saying.
He's not very big though. Not a
Yeah,
small guy.
I think he's like 5. I think he's the same height as me.
Yeah, he's a small dude,
If,
but he
if
looked good.
most
He was
anyone
fast.
listening, you probably don't know my height. I'm like 5'10" on a good day. I'm like
This is
5'7".
this
I'm
isn't a
five
dating
seven.
game.
I'm 5'7".
So, but we'll leave the Malik Washington thing. You can tell at the end of the season if you're right or wrong on that one.
Oh, I'll be right. Everyone knows Reed will be right.
Yeah, okay. I like Mike Tomlin. He's currently leading. I guess Andy Reid is also tied with him, which is
Dan Campbell,
I don't like. He's third. You're right there.
feel like
But
that's a
I
safe
want
prediction.
I like I guess Dan Quinn is tied for third with four quarterbacks with the same odds. But I think he should be above them. I think it's either Mike Tomlin or Dan Quinn. I think it's going to depend on how this rest of the season plays out.
Dan Quinn being seventh.
Seventh, but he's also tied for fourth. So the
Oh,
teams four or head coaches 4 through 7 all have the same odds to win.
I think Dan Quinn. I think he could win. I think he should win, but that's just me.
Everybody, I don't need to. I don't need to talk about the Commanders anymore. We talk about it every week. Got to move on to something else.
Yeah.
Got, got to find something else. Is there anything? I guess projections for the end of the season. We don't have to do anything crazy, hot takes, unless you got one that you want to just get off your chest or whatnot. But how do you
Projections?
kind of just like how do you see the rest of the season going out? Is there anything crazy you see happening? I mean, obviously you have your teams like the Cowboys who, without Dak Prescott, are probably going to be losing a lot of games at the end of the season. You get the Giants who are probably going to be competing with the Jaguars
Seahawks
for the first overall pick. Like,
or the Seahawks with the first overall pick.
I don't think the Seahawks are going to lose that bad. The Seahawks do look like they're kind of embracing the next year. Like they're
Cam Ward, baby. Cam Ward.
kind of seems that way. You got the Bears that lost Shane. They just not cut him. They fired Shane Waldron from offensive play calling duties.
Could have told you that to do that before the season.
So now the Bears are in the same situation they've been in for the last 4 years with Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields. They constantly have new offensive coordinators coming in on 1 year deals and cycling them in and out, and having the quarterbacks struggle to learn the playbooks and struggle to get comfortable in the system because you're constantly having them learn a new system. Not a good thing for a young quarterback to do to develop them. It's not good. I think they're trying their best to ruin another first overall pick or high draft pick quarterback. They're really good at it. I'll give them that. So you got the Bears struggling to win games over there.
Um, Here's my little take.
What do you
Chiefs
got?
lose their first game this week.
Who they play this week?
Bills
In Buffalo?
at Casey.
You think the Bills win that one, huh?
I really do. What they just did against Denver, I got some doubt in me here for KC.
Yeah, it was in Denver too. So that was a home field advantage.
It's Denver.
I mean, any given week, right? Any team could win.
Yeah, that is true. You could say any week and be like, hey, they're losing this week. because that's what the NFL is. Anyone can lose to anyone. Like the Seahawks can lose to the Giants, even though the Seahawks look like they're worse than the Giants and the worst team in the league.
They did. They did lose that game.
Yeah, they did. Another take is Texans. I think the Texans are gonna start winning a lot here. They have been winning. I'm not saying they've been like doing bad, but I think the Texans we're gonna see another Texans start doing really well and start excelling, even after getting 5 interceptions and still losing, which I don't know how that works. Um, I think the Texans are gonna start winning, and I think they're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Texans. Do you still like your picks for?
I still think
I'm
Lions Texans in the Super Bowl.
a little sheepish on my Packers pick.
Yeah.
I still think the Texans could make it. Um, Obviously the Bills have looked good. The Chiefs are finding ways to win games. They haven't looked particularly great though. Texans have been just really hot or hit or miss. Either one game they should come out and they just absolutely just destroy teams, or they come out and they struggle and they don't look great on offense at all. It's been kind of a weird roller coaster of a ride. I think they have all the pieces they need. I think still think they can do it this year, but we'll see what happens there.
I also think like this past week, losing to the Lions, I mean, they didn't have Stephon Diggs or Nico Collins. Tank Dell was the number one receiver. And Tank Dell is a really good receiver. I think he will be a starting receiver soon, but it's the guys that have to now play behind Tank Dell. I couldn't name you wide receiver two behind Tank Dell.
It's that Hutchinson kid, Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie,
Oh, John Mechie. Yeah, that's a good pull. Forgot about
Robert
John Mechie.
Woods.
Robert Woods. Yeah. Again, like people, Robert Woods is out of his prime by far. Robert
Oh,
Woods.
I mean, Robert
John
Woods'
Mechie.
prime wasn't very long anyway.
John Mechie just ever since college, and then I think he got leukemia. Correct? I
I
think
believe that sounds right.
think he got leukemia, and I mean, yeah, it kind of ruins your career. That sucks for John Mechie. Good player. He was really good in college.
He came back. He had like 9 targets or 10 targets or something like that this last game. He was getting the
Yeah,
ball.
getting the ball this game until Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins come back, and then back down the depth chart he goes. I
Well,
was a big fan of
Stephon
John
Diggs
Mechie
is
coming
done
out
for
of
the year,
college.
isn't he?
What
Stephon Diggs is done for the year, isn't he?
is
Nico
he?
Collins is coming back soon, but I think Stephon
I
Diggs
think he comes back this week. I think Nico Collins comes back this week,
he very well could. He was potentially going to come back last week, I think.
but he didn't. So I think he comes back this week. Um, Game of the week.
Ravens, Steelers.
I was gonna say Ravens, Steelers, or Chiefs, Bills.
I also like Chargers, Bengals. I think that'll be a sneaky good game Sunday night.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Hey, did you see how many points the Lions won by?
What was it 2? Oh, 3. I thought it was 24-26.
I thought it was a 3-point win. My
Yeah, 26-23.
Yeah, see, and the line was 3 last week when we were on here.
So nobody gets money, right?
No, I think you hit. So I think
Was it two and a
it's
half or
3 or
3?
more. There's 3.
Oh,
I don't know how that works. I don't know how into betting that much. I was still right though. Listen, they won by 3.
you're not into betting that much.
Like, not that way. Player props. Player prop lock of the week. Christian McCaffrey scored a touchdown against the Seahawks.
I think that's a pretty lock. Good lock
Lock
there.
of the week.
Lock of the week is the 49ers beating the Seahawks. How about that?
Probably that too. Probably
You
that.
can you guys can tell here that as Seahawks fans, we're kind of done already. We're
It's it's a rough
we're
ride.
we're 11 weeks into the season and we're just done. We're super sim the season, please.
Like the Vikings advance to next season.
Yeah.
Uh, Last thing I want to touch on. Obviously, you kind of brought up Jamar Chase having that huge week he had last week, which was insane. With him being on a contract year, if I'm his agent, I'm telling him to sit out. You put up that monster week last week, and then like what are they playing for? Their team isn't very good. It's going to be a stretch just to get even in the playoffs. At this point, I go, listen, you've seen what I can do. how many years I put on last week. I'm no longer putting myself in harm's way until you give me a long-term, highest paid wide receiver in the league contract. Not touching the field again until you do.
I was about to mute you, because that was terrible. What happened to Le'Veon Bell?
I mean, that's a good point. But he deserves his money. He has no
He's going to get his money either
he
way.
has no bigger
He's going
leverage
to
than
get
he
his money
has.
either way. What happens every offseason to any position player that is elite at their position? They become the highest paid player in history. If he times it out well enough to where one of the other elite wide receivers gets paid, then he can outdo that contract. He's going to
What if
get
he
paid.
what if
Why
he
take
tears
the
his
risk of
ACL
what
next
happened to
year?
Le'Veon Bell, where you sit out a week and then you lose it? Don't take the risk. Keep balling out. Go get Offensive Player of the Year, and now your contract's even going up more.
Yeah,
I
but
do not agree with that agent thing. Do not do that. Do not sit out.
here's the thing. He's already played enough games in the season for him to be eligible for this contract to be up. So if he sits out the rest of this year, he doesn't have to like void that year and have to have come back to the rights or whatnot. So that means his contract is up at the end of this year, I
Yeah.
believe. Meaning he would hit free agency this offseason. They could franchise tag him. He could then sit out, make him trade him, or they have to pay him and he gets his money. If he plays next week, tears his ACL, it's like horrible for him. Like, and then he doesn't get paid the highest receiver money in the league. He's never going to have more leverage than he has today to get this contract done. I say, like, what?
My philosophy is if you don't want to play, then don't play for my team. Same thing with Anthony Richardson. If you don't want to go in there on that 4th and 1 and you want to go tap out and get a sub, get off my team. Don't play for me then. If he
But I'm
wants
not
to, if
thinking.
he wants his bag, go get his bag somewhere else.
Well, that's what
Don't
he
get
can
your bag
do.
from me.
That's what he can do.
What?
Get out the rest of the season and go get his bag from anybody else because they're going to pay
Or
it.
he could play out the rest of the season and then go get his bag.
But he's going to get the bag either way.
Exactly.
My point. So why would he play?
Do you think he wants Offensive Player of the Year?
I
Or do
don't
you
think
think
they
he wants
count
the
one
bag?
way or another.
What?
I don't think offensive player of the year means anything to him.
He has half the game he just played last week. He every week he is.
That award means nothing to him. He wants the money, and he's going to get the money regardless if he gets that award or not. I'm just saying the pros and the cons. The pros far exceed the cons in this situation to sit out.
I think the chances of what happened to Le'Veon Bell are greater than him tearing his ACL.
That would never happen to a wide receiver.
What do you mean?
People pay for high quality receivers. People are unwilling to pay for high quality running backs. Top dollar, that is.
All right,
So
so
a player like Jamar Chase is
how often do we see high quality wide receivers in the draft?
uh
Pretty damn
saying
often.
like more often than running backs. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
But how many wide receivers start on a team compared to running backs? Triple.
3.
Exactly. Triple the amount. So you're going to need 90 receivers for every 30 running backs.
Yeah.
So if your hit rate or your elite wide receiver hit rate in the draft is 3-1 running backs, then they're essentially the same. You know what I mean?
What was one good running back from this draft class?
This past one,
Yeah.
there hasn't been an elite one right now.
Who's the best one?
Tyrone Tracy,
Tyrone Tracy? Name
Jonathan
me.
Brooks, but he hasn't really played yet,
And
so
then wide
it's hard to
receivers, you got
say.
Malik. Wide receivers, you got Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., you got
Marvin
Marvin
Harrison,
Harrison, you got Keon Coleman's been pretty good now. He's starting to get better.
starting to get better. I wouldn't call him an elite. So I mean, you're looking at a 3-0, 3-1.
I would say 4-1.
You're within the realm,
I would. Jamar Chase deserves his back. That I think that we can both agree on.
and he'll get it, regardless if he plays the rest of
He
the
will
season or
for
not.
sure get it. In my opinion, what happened to Le'Veon Bell, I think, is it's terrible. Le'Veon Bell was the best running back in the league. And then he held out. He comes back and he's one of the worst. If I were a player in the NFL, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. So if he does hold out, he needs to stay active somehow. Whether
I
that's
think he would.
trading, right. If he's smart, he would. But again, I don't have those personal connections. I don't know what he's going to be doing if he were to hold out. So I'm just playing it based on past experiences of Le'Veon Bell. If that happens, that would be terrible. Of course he's going to get his bag either way, no matter what happens. But he could come back and he could be a different player. He wouldn't be the same Jamar Chase as we've seen. So I think he should keep playing.
Potentially. And I hope he doesn't sit out. I'm just saying, this is how the situation plays. He'd hate for something to happen to him before he got paid, that kind of thing. So,
I also think that hurts. Like again, I've had this talk a lot. They're people. They have morals. They have values. He has
right.
relationships on that team. He has relationships on that coach with that coach. Joe Burrow, he's got to be best friends with Joe Burrow, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. And now you're gonna go sit out and I would hope your best friend or a friend is out there still playing without you. It's got to hurt some chemistry. That's got to make some bad blood. So just as them being people with morals, I just can't see that happening.
I got you. I get it.
Uh, yeah, I, I think you're right with the leverage. I disagree, but I can also see your point.
That's all I
Yeah,
wanted. I just wanted you to see my point. That's all.
I think it's very unlikely it happens though.
I agree.
No. With that, I think comes brings this episode to a close. If you guys agree, disagree, think Jamar Chase should retire early, you can leave it down below in the comments, and if you're his agent, you let us know what you think he should do. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace out, everybody.